All right, audio test right now. I see I do have feedback on my mic. My fault. I forgot to turn my mic on. Naturally, that's the perfect way to start this. Getting into this without having a mic on. Just gonna wait, give people a minute to show up. Like I always say to start these, if you have any questions or want to talk about anything, just about whatever, feel free to drop it in the chat right there. I read everything during my live streams. I try to answer every question that is asked me. Again, if you want to say something that's too long for a live stream or whatever reason, go ahead and DM it to me on either Instagram or Twitter. I don't have a preference either way, but what we do have to talk about is, and looking back on this, I'm kind of frustrated that this is kind of an oversight on my part. I completely forgot that there was actual racing this weekend. And when I say actual racing, I mean like stakes races. We got the Hollywood Santa Anita Gold Cup, whatever it's called. Gold Cup at Santa Anita. I'm sorry, that should just have been named kept the Hollywood Gold Cup. It rolls off the tongue better than Gold Cup at Santa Anita or anything else. I mean, I think that Hollywood Park should still be a thing, but that's beside the point. Keep it the Gold Cup. It would have been the Hollywood Gold Cup. It would have been a lot easier. But you got the Hollywood Gold Cup and you got the Shoemaker Mile, two races that have implications. The Shoemaker Mile is a win and you're in race. The Hollywood, I'm going to be calling it the Hollywood Gold Cup all stream. So if I refer to it as the Hollywood Gold Cup, hey, how's it going? If I refer to it as the Hollywood Gold Cup, I'm talking about the Gold Cup at Santa Anita. I'm just stuck in the past. But yeah, I did kind of forget to mention that in the pod. I didn't really talk anything about that, and that was my fault entirely. I did not check the stakes schedule prior to recording. But it's okay because we're going to talk about it now. But like I said, if you want to talk about anything, have anything that is on your mind, feel free to drop it in the live chat right now. But I guess I think the Met Mile looks like a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with a lot of good horses in it. Yes. Hey, nice to see you again. I just read your username. Yeah, the Met Mile is a very interesting race. I'm going to be at the Belmont Stakes this year, so I will be there for the Met. So you will get some live predictions for the Met Mile. I think the Met Mile is ultimately going to be a more interesting race than the Breeder or Belmont Stakes. And, there's not a lot of races in this country, elite races that are at that 1 mile distance. And, I think that that's something that this country lacks. There's great sprint races, there's great races at a distance, but really, and, if we're going to have a Breeders' Cup race like the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, I think that we should create more races that cater to that distance. Because the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, since its inception, has most of the time felt like just a consolation prize for horses that either weren't good enough to make it into the Breeders' Cup Classic or that were ducking facing better competition in the Breeders' Cup Classic. That's really what I think about the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And, I'm not saying that it can't be an elite caliber race. I'm just saying that that's what it feels like. So, really just getting started with some of the races that are this weekend. Gift Box is going to headline the Gold Cup at Santa Anita, if we're going to call it the correct thing. And, it's going to kind of look like this year deja vu for Sadler and Hronis Racing, which ultimately that's a good thing for them. That John Sadler deserves to have more success. So does Hronis. They're great people. Nothing against them. Gift Box has kind of been the horse that, for a while, it's looked like, I've heard for a long time that this is the horse, or that this is the race where Gift Box is going to, I don't really know how to say, like, maybe get to another level, if you will. But, really, I think this year Gift Box has kind of shown that. And, I've gone back and forth over who I think the best older horses in the country this year are. I originally thought it was Battle of Midway. When Battle of Midway unfortunately was destroyed, I thought it could possibly be Thunder Snow. And I still don't know whether or not it's going to be Thunder Snow or Battle. I think those two, Thunder Snow or Gift Box, could both be horses that could contend for best older male horse in the country. But it is going to kind of be deja vu for Sadler and Horonis Racing and Joel Rosario. They won the Gold Cup Big Cap Double or Big Cap Gold Cup Double last year with Accelerate. And, the Big Cap Gold Cup Double is kind of becoming more common in recent years. Thunder Snow is going to run in the Met. Yeah, I know Thunder Snow is going to run in the Met Mile. That just made that race very interesting. And I will break down the Met Mile eventually. Maybe not tonight. I'll talk a little bit about the Met Mile tonight, but I want to leave stuff for Belmont Stakes week. I don't want to hit at everything right now. So we'll talk a little bit about the Belmont Stakes too. But really, I mean, like I said, I did not make any Belmont Stakes profile videos this week because I did not. The field is still fluid, and we don't know who's going to run where yet. Yes, my Tolly looks. He does look like he is going to factor significantly in the Met Mile. My Tolly, I think, if Roy H loses a step, I think, and even if Roy H doesn't lose a step, I think my Tolly is a very. We're going to start as soon as the Belmont Stakes is over. We start talking Breeders' Cup. So we're going to start talking Breeders' Cup now. What is it, like 5 months out? Yeah, 5 months out. Then let's say that my Tolly, even if possibility Roy H could fall off from the past 2 years where he's been very good. My Tolly looks like a horse that could be a significant player for a Breeders' Cup sprint title. But like I said, very fluid with horses in the Belmont Stakes. That's why I haven't been talking about them. But yeah, so I actually want to try to find where is the Met Mile. The Met Mile 2019. The Met Mile does look like it's a pretty decent sized field this year. Yeah. Or not decent sized field, but got some decent horses in it. My Tolly, I will keep saying about McKinsey. Why don't I use a table or something? Because I don't have one. I don't have a significant layer. I don't have a not necessarily a studio, but I don't have the means to record in a setting that's not sitting on my couch. I hope at some point that I will get that. I know at some point that I'm going to get to that. When I subscribed to your channel, you only had 20 subs. Now you're up to over 1,300. Congrats on the work. Thank you, Horse Racing Daily. Yeah, I know Racing Rundown has grown significantly, and we do have, I'm going to be plugging this until it happens. We do have on June 17th, that's a Monday, the Hall of Famer Gary Stevens will be joining Racing Rundown. I have been planning that out. I have gotten some new sound systems. I have a better mic. I will not have my headset mic for that. I will have an actual mic. We're going to be doing it on the phone. So you will see at some point, I will be doing a test live stream at some point. If someone wants to volunteer and, just kind of be a test guest for the podcast, that I would not be opposed to that. If someone wants to volunteer and be a guest on the show for like 5 minutes just to test out the audio and everything, I would not be opposed to that. But that's something that's maybe down the road. I have to get the stuff in. I ordered it this week. But so basically how this is going to work out, I haven't been, I don't want to say I've been deliberately vague, but I have just worked out all the stuff with Gary. I don't have the time yet. I'm waiting until the week before to figure out what time it is, and you guys will know as soon as the time, as what time the interview will be. I have no concept at this point, but this will be on a live stream setting. And I decided originally I was thinking that maybe it would be part of the podcast itself on iTunes, but I think at this point it will just be I will live stream it. And I have told you guys that I will give you the opportunity to ask the Hall of Famer a question, although that is kind of fluid to see how many questions we'll get in. And, there's a possibility that we may not be able to have questions depending on how the time is. I would love to be able to get questions in and allow you guys to be able to talk to Gary, but I do have stuff that I have already planned with him, and so I want to get through all of that. But we will see, obviously, when we get to the interview itself, how that works out. But it will be live streamed, so you will get to watch the live interview with me and the Hall of Famer Gary Stevens. But I will upload the video. I will leave the live stream of it up until I upload the episode itself. I don't know. I may leave the live stream up or I may take it down. I don't know. I'll have to see how it turns out. But I will, when I release the video of it, will. I don't really know what the best word for it is. Synchronize races. Usually when I'm talking about stuff, I just put in random races, generally about the horses that I'm talking about. But with Gary, I will try to have the races that we're talking about playing in the background as we're talking about that race. So, for example, when we're talking about the 88 Kentucky Derby, and spoiler alert, we are going to talk about that. So when we talk about Winning Colors Kentucky Derby, the footage of Winning Colors in the 88 Kentucky Derby will hopefully be playing in the background of us talking about that. I'm not going to talk too much about what I will actually be asking Gary Stevens. You'll see once the interview comes. Why watch the interview? I'll obviously watch the interview because Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. But that's all I'm going to talk about that for this time right now. I do want to get into discussing some of the races this weekend, the Hollywood Gold Cup and the Shoemaker Mile. And like I said, I'm just going to keep calling it the Hollywood Gold Cup. I really don't care what its official name is. It's the Hollywood Gold Cup. Hollywood Park should have never been demolished. But so, taking a look at the Big Cat Gift Box is headlining the field, and not that it's a necessarily weak field. Sir Winston DeShow. Are you talking about I think you're talking about the Belmont Stakes. Yeah, you are. That's your place, Sir Winston, to place or show? Are you just saying that like that's your play, or are you asking my opinion on that? Gold Cup at Santa Anita. Let's see. So, the horses you got running in it, there's a couple of interesting horses in that race. Lone Sailor. When was the last time Pletcher sent a dirt horse to California? I don't know when the last time Pletcher sent a dirt horse. I don't know. I saw Vino Rosso. Vino Rosso just popped up. I saw him. Like, why is Vino Rosso running in the Gold Cup at Santa Anita? I will get to your thing in a minute, but since I am on the Gold Cup right now, I'll talk Belmont a little bit later, but since I am on the Gold Cup right now, I do want to talk about that. I don't know why Vino Rosso is running in the Gold Cup. Maybe it just works out with him. Maybe Pletcher wanted the 1.25 miles instead of waiting. Maybe Pletcher just wanted the distance and not to run him at the mile, the 9 furlongs distance of the Met Mile. I don't know. 8 furlong distance of the Met Mile. I don't know. But I mean, it does add a little bit of depth, or I should say a little bit of more depth to the field. You got Lone Sailor. Lone Sailor was second in the Oaklawn Handicap. He ran a very good race. He just got beat by Quip, but I think Lone Sailor is on the upside. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Lone Sailor is any elite horse or anything. He could be, but Lone Sailor's got a lot of upside. He looks like he's talented. Vino Rosso coming off of 4th in the Carter Handicap. I don't know. 4th in the Belmont Stakes. I believe he was either 4th or 5th in Belmont Stakes. It's not popping up right. Yeah. He was 4th in Belmont last year. I'm kind of iffy on him. He won the Smythe Stakes, but then like I said, he was fourth in the Carter Handicap, and he was fifth in the Travers last year. I don't really know about Vino Rosso. I'll give him a chance though. He's probably going to be the second or third. I think he would be the second choice. Another horse that's in the field, it's kind of intriguing, is Core Beliefs. He won the New Orleans Handicap down at the fairgrounds. He ran a couple of races against Justify last year, and he got beat. Actually, he only ran one race against. Excuse me, ran one race against Justify. That was the Santa Anita Derby. He was third to him in that race. So I really don't know about Core Beliefs. I don't think that he is necessarily a 100% great horse, but Core Beliefs definitely got some intrigue behind him. And then the other three horses, Blitzkrieg, trained by Doug O'Neill. Yeah, the New Orleans Handicap was slower than the Louisiana Derby. I don't know. I'm just trying to make a case for Core Beliefs. I would not play him. I think Gift Box is definitely the class of this field. And that race is on Monday. The Shoemaker Mile and this race are both on Monday, so we will be talking about those on Tuesday after them. But I think definitely Gift Box is the class of this field. He also got Higher Power and Mongolian Groom, both horses that I really don't buy into at all. I think, you can make cases for Lone Sailor and Vino Rosso, a little bit less for Core Beliefs, but you can still maybe argue for him. I don't know. I would kind of put Core Beliefs in that, I'm not really looking to go after this horse, but I think 100% Gift Box is the class of this field. Gift Box has turned around significantly. Yeah, Gift Box was in the Travers Stakes in 2016. I was talking about that earlier. And, Gift Box, I had remembered hearing about him from the Travers. And when he won the San Antonio, I was kind of surprised by it. I was like, oh, this was a horse that ran in the Travers a couple years ago and was beaten significantly by Arrowgate. But yeah, Gift Box was in the Travers. He was originally trained by Chad Brown. He was transferred to John Sadler, as was, ironically, Catapult. So Chad Brown castoffs. He's 6 years. Yeah. You're saying, wow, he is old. Yeah, he's 6 years old. If Gift Box turns out to be the accelerate of this year, then I've been making this argument that the 2016 3-year-old class is one of the best 3-year-old classes in recent memory. If Gift Box is the horse that I think he can be, I think he can be at the very least. It's hard to believe that Arrowgate. Yeah, really, honestly, I was a person. This was before Racing Rundown was a thing, but I was always a person that had a lot of belief in Gunrunner. I had picked Gunrunner in the Haskell. No, I didn't pick Gunrunner in the Haskell, but I had thought Gunrunner is. When is the time that we're going to see Gunrunner change or turn a corner? I should say, not change a corner. But I always thought that Gunrunner at some point is going to be. I have a knot in this, and I'm trying to see if I can get this out. I had always thought that Gunrunner was going to be a horse that takes a jump. And, ultimately he was not as good of a horse on Kentucky Derby Day 2016 as Nyquist and Exaggerator were, but Gunrunner ran some dynamite races in 2017. Obviously, Gunrunner, I don't know, once all the horses are retired from this 2016 3-year-old class, I will make a video recapping this because I think that this is one of the best 3-year-old classes in recent memory. You look at horses and really like horses born in 2013 is another way you can rephrase it. But another reason was he brought up Arrowgate. It's hard to believe that Arrowgate goes from 11-1 in the Travers Stakes to what was he in the Breeders' Cup Classic? Like, I don't remember what his odds were in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but the thing that I'd always said about Arrowgate was I was hoping that he won the Breeders' Cup Classic because I thought Arrowgate was the best 3-year-old in the country. But as a person, and I wasn't a voter, so I had no say in this. But I had always thought that 2-1. I think, yeah, that sounds right. But I had always thought that you can't give a horse an Eclipse Award off of one performance, and that's really what people were probably going to do if Arrogate hadn't won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, if he had run the kind of race that he ran and just come up short to California Chrome, then maybe I probably would have changed my opinion. But after the Travers Stakes, prior to the Breeders' Cup Classic, people were saying that, Arrogate, and it was really after the Pennsylvania Derby where Exaggerator was a no-show, and Nyquist was a no-show, and the other good horses were complete no-shows in that Pennsylvania Derby. That was, let's give Arrogate the champion 3-year-old award. And I didn't really agree with doing that. I don't like giving anything in any kind of sport, someone or something, an award off of one performance. So Arrogate winning the Breeders' Cup Classic was a sign to me, all right, yep, wrapped up, give him the Eclipse Award. But Arrogate, I never bought into I don't want to say I never bought into him, but I always thought that Arrogate was very overvalued. I always thought that, we thought that Arrogate was too. I don't really know. I always thought that Arrogate was overvalued, and people kept giving him chances. And really, after the Pacific Classic in 2017, I was over Arrogate, and I did not think that picking him in the Breeders' Cup Classic, especially at 2-1, if you picked Arrogate at 2-1 in that Breeders' Cup Classic, that was an awful play. Yeah, I mean that's something that happens a lot. Going to Dubai takes a lot out of horses. And I think we have all said, we wish we could have seen him run on a not Del Mar track, cuz Bob Baffert was very quick to say it's Del Mar it's Del Mar that caused Arrogate to fall off, which maybe Arrogate didn't like the track at Del Mar, but you know I thought that Bob Baffert was very kind of, I don't know if immature is the right word, but I think Bob Baffert was very liberal in his use of this is the best horse in Secretariat, because I thought that was not really the most appropriate thing for him to say, because literally the year before he had just come off, or he said that in Dubai in 2017. So 2 years earlier, you trained a Triple Crown winner, and you're saying that this horse is the best horse in Secretariat. Now, I thought that Arrogate had a chance to challenge Cigar. I thought that Arrogate might be the next best horse in Cigar, or the next horse the caliber of Cigar, I should say. But after, I didn't buy too much into the San Diego handicap, but after the Pacific Classic, I was done with Arrogate. But yeah, so Arrogate and Gunrunner, it's hard to believe that in that Travers that they were double digits. Good point you brought up. But yeah, so Gift Box is a 6-year-old, and that 3-year-old class is a very deep class. As much as I talk about Exaggerator and say, Exaggerator couldn't run on a faster track. After the Preakness, Exaggerator did not run on a faster track. But Exaggerator was a pretty good horse. And, if you got him the wet track, then Exaggerator did his business. Nyquist, very good, although he peaked in the Florida Derby. He peaked too soon. I've always said that, a horse will peak and then they'll maybe run one good race after their peak. And I use Nyquist as an example. I think Nyquist peaked in the Florida Derby. He had enough left to win the Kentucky Derby, and then he could have won the Preakness if Martin Garcia had ridden a better Preakness. But he would not have won the Belmont Stakes. And, Nyquist was a good horse. I think I would vote him into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I mean, we're having Hall of Fame discussions right now. That's a few years down the road, but I would vote him in. I don't know about anyone else, but you got Nyquist, you got Exaggerator, you got Arrogate, you got Gunrunner, you got Accelerate. And if Gift Box is the 6th really good horse from that division, and then you also had Grade 1 winners like Cupid won the Hollywood Gold Cup in 2017. I'm trying to think of who else. I think More Spirit, the last horse that Gary Stevens ever rode in the Kentucky Derby, I think he won some kind of grade 1 race. I can't remember off the top of my head. Now I'm going to look that up because it's going to bother me that I didn't remember that. But I think More Spirit won some kind of grade 1 race. Yeah, he won the Metropolitan. Yeah, he won the Met Mile. That's what I thought. So More Spirit won the Met Mile. More Spirit was a decent horse. Sharp Azteca is another one that comes to mind. He obviously not to the talent of some of the other ones, but he hung around a little bit. Ran some okay races. I don't want to say good races, but he ran some okay races. And then, if I'm forgetting anyone from that 3-year-old class, feel free to drop them in. But, if Gift Box is the horse that I think he is, and I think he has a threat, or is a threat to take, definitely, if nothing else, take all the grade 1 races out in California. What year do you think is the worst? Are you going to give me years to compare to? I will say, if you're just asking me like what year in recent memory, or I kind of need a little bit more out of that question. I don't really know what you're asking. You're asking me what years do I think are worse? In recent memory, I would say 2017 is probably the weakest 3-year-old class of the past few years. 13 to present. Then 2017, definitely the weakest. West Coast was the best horse in that division, and West Coast never really. Oh yeah, Connect also. I did forget Connect. Thank you. You know who else? Collected. Connect and Collected are two horses that I always mix up their name, but yeah, Connect and Collected ran two really good races. Collected was actually my pick for the Breeders' Cup Classic in 2017, and he hung around with Gunrunner for most of that race. So yeah, that was a really. I'm going to type in all these horses now. You got Nyquist. You got Exaggerator. You got Nyquist. You got Exaggerator. You got Gunrunner. You got Accelerate. You got Arrowgate. Who else? I typed in Arrowgate. More Spirit. More Spirit. Connect. Collected. I think that's everyone we talked about. Creator was also in that field, but Creator wasn't really that consistent. But, you could put Creator in there. Creator. I'm going to put this in there, and if there's any horses that you think that should be, honestly, you could do a match race. I wonder who would win a match race between those. Probably Gunrunner. I think Gunrunner is ultimately the best horse from that class, although you could debate. But I want to get back to his question, and then I will scroll back up to your question, or your point, Larry. I did not forget you, but I did want to hit on all this stuff. Weakest field, 13 to present, is definitely 100% the 2017 3-year-old class. There was no horse in that field that was really that good. Always Dreaming, good for him. He won the Kentucky Derby, and I never really bought in Always Dreaming. And Always Dreaming is kind of the typical, I don't really know how to phrase this, but the typical, every time the Kentucky Derby winner, every time a horse wins the Kentucky Derby, it automatically shifts to Triple Crown talk. And I never ever thought that Always Dreaming was a Triple Crown threat. Cloud Computing was a long shot, won the Preakness, didn't really hear much from him after. Tapwrit there was a lot of hype about him coming out of the Tampa Bay Derby, didn't really do much in the Bluegrass, didn't do much in the Kentucky Derby, won the Belmont Stakes, didn't really do much after that. Classic Empire was close in a few races. The 2-year-old champion from 2016. Classic Empire, close in a few races. Never really factored that much. West Coast was the best horse in that division, and West Coast wasn't really that good. So it all in all, it was just a mediocre field. But Sir Winston to place or show, Larry Smith did ask me. I haven't really looked into Sir Winston. I think I called him Sir Weston. Sir Winston. I haven't looked into him that much, so I can't tell you right now who I think or whether I think that's a good player or not. But I think it could be. 18 doesn't look much better either. Yeah, but the thing about 18 was, and 2015 and 2018 were kind of weak. But I think the fact that there was a Triple Crown winner in that field elevates it. Even though it was only one horse. Excuse me. Even though it was only one horse, I think that 18 was not as. 17 was just weak. 18, there was just a superstar. That's what a Triple Crown horse does. Usually, you don't usually have Triple Crown winners in super deep fields, and 18 just wasn't that deep of a field, and that's why I didn't really think there was going to be a Triple Crown this year. I thought, if Maximum Security hadn't been disqualified, you're forget. That is true. Thank you. Thank you. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Mastery. I always talk about Mastery as 100% was the best horse in that 2017 class, but Mastery got hurt in the San Felipe, and I think Mastery getting hurt robbed us of a Triple Crown winner. I really think so. I think, if Mastery doesn't get hurt, back-to-back Triple Crown winners, because that field was so weak. There was no way that, honestly, what about IRAP? IRAP was just a long shot that happened to score in the Bluegrass Stakes. But Mastery, 100%. I think, obviously, would have won the Kentucky Derby. I think Mastery could have won the Triple Crown. And, I think it's a shame that we never got to see him run after the San Felipe. He was undefeated in 4 starts. Kind of like Justify. I would describe Mastery as a Justify who ran as a 2-year-old. And, unfortunately for Mastery, no one is going to remember him because Mastery ultimately did not get to run. But yeah, Mastery taken out definitely was a hit to that field. There was not really any quality horse in that. There was not really a quality horse in 2017. West Coast was good. Well, yeah, IRAP did run. Oh, you were saying IRAP for 2016. Yeah, IRAP ran in 2017, and IRAP just won a Bluegrass as a long shot. That's really it for IRAP. But yeah, so phew. But yeah, like I said about you, Sir Winston, I think that's a decent play, but I don't really know too much about this Kentucky Derby field, or Kentucky Derby, this Belmont Stakes field at the moment. I haven't been handicapping it this week. I've been busy trying to deal with other stuff this week, trying to get everything with Gary Stevens settled, which I have for the most part. I just have to set up a time for it, and I will keep you guys posted on when that time is. But one thing I did want to talk about is, I don't know if you guys follow Kent DeStormo on Twitter. If you do not, I would suggest go follow Kent DeStormo on Twitter. But I'm going to retweet this right now because I wanted to wait until the live show to retweet this. What do you think about Master Fencer? Master Fencer is a typical mystery horse. I would not be surprised if Master Fencer ran a big Belmont Stakes. You remember a couple years ago, 2016, Lonnie won the UAE Derby, was kind of the fractious horse that caused a lot of trouble. Lonnie didn't really win ultimately did not win a race in the Triple Crown, but Lonnie ran a big race in the Belmont Stakes. I think Master Fencer, maybe not necessarily win, but I think Master Fencer is going to be up there. So Master Fencer in the Belmont Stakes is a horse that I think definitely is going to get some play. And I would not be surprised to see him hit the board. And in fact, I think he would hit the board. I think he will hit the board. But like I said, if you don't follow Kenta Sormo, you can go follow him from the thing that I'm just about to retweet. But scratched a couple years ago. A lot of people liked him. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Check this out, Country House. Didn't you tweet that last week? Didn't you comment that last week? Yeah, you commented that last week. I noted that last week. But what I want to get to is Kenta Sormo tweeted something about a senator from Australia exposing PETA on something, and it's like a 9-minute video. I suggest you watch it. I'm not going to summarize the video, but I suggest you check it out. The senator from Australia destroyed PETA and basically told us what we already knew. He told about how they made up some of their statistics and everything, which stop me if you're surprised hearing that PETA makes up statistics, because I was not surprised to hear that. But yeah, so I'm just retweeting that right now. All right, so I just retweeted that. You can go find that on Racing Rundown, or excuse me, Rundown Racing on Twitter. That is my Twitter username. Some idiot already has Racing Rundown, so we got to settle for Rundown Racing. But yeah, so what I want to say about PETA is, though, they're irrelevant. I really don't care that much about PETA. They're a thing, but really, I don't really care about PETA. I'm over PETA. They're just stupid. That's really what I have to say about PETA. They're stupid, and I realize they're a thing, and they kind of what's the word for this? They have an effect on people, but really, honestly, PETA's just a bunch of losers. That's really what I have to say about it. PETA's just a bunch of losers that make up their own statistics. I did say this was one thing back during the Santa Anita situation. This wasn't PETA, but this was a different organization. It's some rescue organization from Southern California, which I have no problem with animal rescue organizations, but they presented statistics about the situation at Santa Anita that were so obviously false that it was laughable how wrong these were. And one of my friends sent this to me, and they're like, "Is this true?" And the first sentence of this post is, "An average of 30 horses die per week on racetracks." That is the most fake statistic I've ever heard. Now, I don't know, I'm not a math person or anything, but what I did was I multiplied 30 by 52, and that's over 1,500 horses every year. PETA is backed by Facebook, who doesn't mind showing animal. I really don't care about PETA. I'm over PETA. But this statistic was, I see your question. I'll get to it in a minute. This statistic by PETA this statistic was absolutely ridiculous. I actually looked this up, and it's more of something like 400 horses die every year, which that's still, I would still contend that that's too many, but it's nowhere near 1,500. And if 1,500 horses were dying every year, then there would be no industry. I looked at all the horses at the. You looked at all the horses in the Belmont, and they're only. Well, Game Winner's not running in the Belmont Stakes, so you're really on this 1,092 days old thing. But I want to get to William's question. 100% yes. Songbird is a Hall of Famer. And I will say about Songbird is, I will go a step farther. Songbird is the best 3-year-old filly that I have ever seen. I mean, you can't, I don't really care that she was second by a nose to Beholder in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and she lost, I think she lost her 2 races by a very short margin. I'm not sure if she lost the personal ensign by a nose. I'm actually going to look that up right now, but I think it was either, if it wasn't a nose, it was a head. But if you're going to tell me that you're going to keep her out of the Hall of Fame because of 2 nose defeats, then you should lose your vote for the Hall of Fame. 100%. Songbird is a Hall of Famer. She's the best 3-year-old filly that I've ever seen. Now, I did pull up the personal ensign stakes. Let's see. It was a head. So yeah, if you're gonna hold her out of the Hall of Fame for losing 2 races by a combined margin of less than a half a length, then you have no business being a Hall of Fame voter. 100%. Songbird, Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, 2-time Eclipse Award winner. Right, I don't want to say rightfully, but I understand making Forever Unbridled the champion older filly over her, because Forever Unbridled beat her once and won the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So unfortunately, Songbird did not get to retire undefeated, but Songbird 100% is a Hall of Famer. I would vote her in right now, and if she does not get in her first try, I will lose all faith in the Hall of Fame. I'll also lose all faith in the Hall of Fame if Beholder does not get in. No, although there's no reason Beholder doesn't get in. Wise Dan should get in first try too. Wise Dan, Beholder. Trying to think, like, we're gonna have some good horses coming up pretty soon. We're gonna have next year is this year, next year, whatever. Next year is Wise Dan 2020. Excuse me. Next year is Wise Dan 2020. Or 2021. Who's going in 2021? I'm trying to think, like, who finished racing in 2015. Fill me in on that. Drop down any horses that were great in 2015 that their career ended in 2015. I'm actually not sure if we're going to get a lot of good horses in 2015, but 2016, you're going to have American Pharaoh, you're going to have Shared Belief, you're going to have Run Happy. Actually, no, you're not going to have Run Happy in 2020 or 2022, whenever the years are. But yeah, 100%, I would make Songbird a Hall of Famer. 1,000%. And she's going to go in the same year that California Chrome goes in, so that's going to be a pretty loaded Hall of Fame class. Hey, yeah, so I mean, we got time. What do you guys want to talk about? I mean, I basically hit on all my points. I should talk about the Shoemaker Mile a little bit. Now, I'm going to take the horse that almost broke John Sadler's Breeders' Cup for Catapult in the race. And Catapult, it's a wide open field, but I think Catapult is the best horse in this field. I mean, you got Catapult, you got Delta Prince owned by the Stronix. You got Sharp Samurai, but I really think that Catapult is the class of this field. Once again, I think the 2 races this weekend, there's just 2 horses that are the class of their field. I think Gift Box is the class of Southern California, and I think he's a threat to win all the races in Southern California. I think from there he goes to the Pacific Classic, wins the Awesome Again Stakes, and then could very likely win the Breeders' Cup Classic. But yeah, so that's really it for this. I'm going to take Catapult and I'm going to take Gift Box. What do you guys want to talk about? Drop stuff down in the comments and I'll definitely address it. Like I said, also, I did make the 30-year anniversary video for Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. If you have not seen that video, feel free to go ahead and check it out. But yeah, so just drop down whatever you want to talk about. If you want to literally just drop anything in, I'm open for whatever. There's kind of a dull week between Belmont Stakes and Preakness and Belmont Stakes. Not ready yet to talk about the horses running in the Belmont Stakes. We'll talk a lot about them next week, obviously in the podcast and on the live show next weekend. But yeah, so just drop stuff down in the chat and we'll talk about it. Trying to think if I have any questions to pose to you guys. Why did you think Baffert took game winner out of the? Why do I think Baffert took game winner out of the Belmont? Because Baffert said that game winner wasn't quite ready for it. I'm not around game winner 24/7, so I don't know. I haven't. Like I said, Bob's in a better position to know what's right for the horse than anyone else is. I think Bob is saying that it's better to have a fresher horse going into the Travers Stakes than try to run him in the Belmont Stakes and then regroup for the Travers. And I think that that's a good route to go with him. It's just if the horse isn't 100%, then why run him? I'll address that in a minute. But why run him in? Why run him in the Belmont Stakes if he's not 100%? Do you think a closer will ever win the Kentucky Derby in the point system era that's in place? Well, I don't really know how to respond to that because Country House was a closer. He won the Kentucky Derby. I really don't care that he was disqualified. He was a winner of the Kentucky Derby, and he was a come from behind horse. So I think you'll have a come from behind horse win. You'll have a come from behind horse win, and it's just gonna take time. But what I will say, and this was something that when I was drafting up stuff to talk about with Gary Stevens, not going to spoil too much of that, but one of the things that I was thinking about, thinking back to the 2001 Kentucky Derby, when you had the horse Song and a Prayer set the fastest opening fractions in the history of the Kentucky Derby, I don't think we'll see that kind of pace ever again in the Kentucky Derby, or that kind of horse. I'm not necessarily saying we can't see a Derby ever run under 2 minutes, but I really don't think we'll ever see a Kentucky Derby like that. Sylvia C said that she noticed that NBC flagged one of my videos. How did I get it back up? I got it back up because I fought the copyright claim. They claimed it and they blocked it in this country. I fought the claim and I'm still fighting the claim. I don't monetize. Racing Rundown is not yet a channel that monetizes, but I disputed the claim, and as far as I know, I don't think anything's going to happen. And basically, the way I don't know if you guys know how YouTube copyright claims work. Basically, what they did is they said that I used their footage illegally. And what happened is the Monday night after the Kentucky Derby, they just went through and they flagged everything that used their footage. Now, one person had the entire full NBC broadcast, which I knew that it was a matter of time until that race got flagged. And they flagged it. Initially, they just copyright claimed it and blocked it in every country. But then I don't know whether or not they struck the video or they just took it down. But either way, that video is no longer up on YouTube, and they went after a bunch of other videos, but I went after them because the fair use laws say that you're allowed to use footage, or you're allowed to use any copyrighted material for journalistic purposes, and I was using that for journalistic purposes, so it's well within my rights to do that. I claimed it. Now, I wasn't entirely sure. That's why I re-uploaded it, and I took out the NBC footage because I didn't want to wait a month and not have my opinions out there. So I re-uploaded it, and I thought that viewing restrictions were going to remain on the video during the dispute process, which apparently they have not. So now you can watch that video or you can watch the other video. I really don't care which one you watch. Honestly, it's your choice. The NBC footage is better quality, but basically what's going to happen is June 5th is the deadline they have to respond to it. And if they do not respond or if they do not respond after June 5th, the whole copyright situation is over. So they have until June. Basically, the way it is that they have until June 5th to either agree to my dispute and say, yes, you are using this video the right way, say, no, we disagree with you. And from that point, they can either reinstate their restrictions, strike the video, which I really hope that they don't strike the video, because if they strike it, then that's very bad for me. Or they can, which is what they're probably going to do, is they can do nothing. And if they do nothing, then after the month process, then the claim goes away. But I think the claim is going to go away, and obviously, as you have seen, the viewing restrictions are gone, so you can see the video. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to deal with them just flagging my video because I use their footage in it. So yeah, that's what I did. That's why you can see that video now. I disputed it, and now you can see that. Where do I think Omaha Beach is pointed to? I don't know 100% where he's being pointed to. I would not be surprised if he goes to the Travers. But right now, I mean, we haven't heard much from Omaha Beach. So I really don't know. Not to give you a short answer, but I don't know. I mean, I would not be surprised if he goes to, I always thought that he would go to the Travers, or actually not the Travers, the Haskell, which the Haskell this year is looking like it's going to be a really loaded race. If you're on the East Coast, I would highly recommend going to the Travers Stakes, because I think it's going to be a very deep race. Obviously, with that being the race that Maximum Security is pointed to return in. And then, possibly we'll see who else runs in it. And, I think that this stupid Gary West, $5 million to any horse that can beat me thing is ridiculous. Good for you, Gary West. That's fine. I'm really over Gary West, and really just over the Kentucky Derby. Maximum Security was disqualified. That was the right decision. I will be saying that for the next however long I'm covering horse racing. The right decision was made. I'm done dealing with it. Let's move on. But yeah, so Omaha Beach, I don't know personally. I don't have any contacts particularly that would be able to confirm for me where he's going, but I would say I thought my thinking was the Haskell, but maybe they'll give him even longer and run him in the Travers Stakes. But I think it's disappointing that we didn't get to see Omaha Beach run in the Triple Crown, because I think Omaha Beach was the best horse in this Triple Crown, or in this 3-year-old class. But I think the one thing about Omaha Beach that's good for us, the fans, is he's owned by B. Wayne Hughes of Spendthrift Farms, bought him. So Omaha Beach could possibly run as a 4-year-old. Obviously B. Wayne Hughes kept Beholder around for longer than really any top horses kept around for. It's rare that you see a horse stick around as long as Beholder has. So yeah, that's really it for Omaha Beach. Any other questions you guys have? Feel free to drop them in there. Like I said, I hit all my points. Go ahead and drop in whatever you want to talk about. I think ultimately what we might do though is, since there's not really much to talk about and kind of is a slow weekend, not as many people are here as were last week, I think I might cut it a little bit earlier. But I mean, if you guys don't really have much to discuss, then I don't know. I'll see. I'll give you guys a chance to come up with stuff to talk about. Why is Thunder Snow racing in the Met Mile? Probably because they want to get a prep race in for him, or not necessarily a prep race. He ran in the Dubai World Cup that was in March, and after Dubai, that the Met Mile is just a race that makes the most sense after Dubai. Because, I mean, the Whitney's not until July, the Woodward is not until August, and Woodward's not until September. The Whitney's not until mid-July, so this is the race that Thunder Snow wants to run in, and they don't want to have him entering some of the prep races later in the year, like the Whitney and like the Woodward. Now, I have no confirmation of whether or not he is going to be running in either the Whitney or the Woodward, but I would say that the reason that they're running him in the Met Mile is because that's the race that is there. And I think the Met Mile fits in more than races like, say, the Brooklyn or the Suburban handicaps. So that's why I would say Thunder Snow is running in the Met Mile. Who do I like in the final leg of the Triple Crown? At this point, I don't really know. I haven't been handicapping the Belmont Stakes hardcore this week because I still don't know who's running in it. But I think probably at this point I'm going to go back and forth between Tacitus and War of Will. Is Thunder Snow the best horse in the class of 2017 class? No, Mastery. Mastery was the best horse in that 2017 class. Even though he got injured after the San Felipe, I will say he was the best horse in that class. Maybe Thunder Snow, you could say, is the second. Is the second best horse from that class, but I think Mastery best horse from that class. I think West Coast also, a lot of people. What West Coast, the thing about him was he was good, he wasn't great. That's what I'll say about West Coast. He was good, not great. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I appreciate that. I've said before, I appreciate all the thanks and all the all the congratulations. Really, just all the support in general of you guys. I'm just one person, and I'm not sure if Horse Racing Daily is still here, but he mentioned that when he subscribed to my channel, he's one of the OGs. He subscribed to Racing Rundown when we only had like 20 subscribers, and he was congratulating me on the growth that we've had in really essentially we went from probably like 4 subscribers to over 1,000 in the better part of a month, which Racing Rundown is still like an ant-sized YouTube channel, but really just the amount of support that we've gotten in really this month, this 1 month, it's really humbling, and I really appreciate all the support. Now, and Racing Rundown is continuing to grow. Like I have said many times, I'm going to keep saying until we're just going to keep beating the dead horse. We do have on June 17th, the Hall of Famer, 3-time Kentucky Derby winner Gary Stevens will be joining the podcast. So you can catch that live here on YouTube on June 17th. And I will keep you guys updated on what time that is. But yeah, so I appreciate all the support and really everything from all of you. Very, very humbling. So yeah, like I said, if you guys have anything else that you want to talk about, feel free to drop it into the chat. Right now, though, there's not really much to talk about. When is the post position draw for the Belmont? I think the post position draw for the Belmont is probably next week. And I'm not saying like next week as in like this coming Tuesday. I'm saying it from the perspective of like the week of the 3rd of June. So I think I don't know when Belmont post draw is, but I think it's the week of the 3rd. But I'll look that up for you. Post draw. Yeah, it's held on the Wednesday of Belmont week. Yeah, 6-4, okay. Why didn't they run maximum security in the next 2 legs of the Triple Crown for breeding rights? Because maximum security came out of the Kentucky Derby with cuts, and he wasn't 100% sound, which the one thing I will say about the Wests and Jason Service is credit to them for taking care of the horse. That's the one thing I'll say about them. I did not agree with them on most cases with this, but credit to them for taking care of the horse. So that's why he didn't run in the Preakness of the Belmont Stakes. What network do I watch my horse racing on? I watch a little bit of it on Fox Sports when they have Fox Sports Saturday at the races. I do watch I don't watch horse racing like 24/7. I don't watch a lot of TV in general. But when I do watch it, like I'll sit down occasionally. I usually like watch a lot of replays and stuff like that. I don't watch a lot of racing live now. Granted, when there is stuff happening, because I mean, I'm not. I don't really know. Uh, but yeah. So when it's on Fox Sports, I watch it on that. I do watch a little bit of TVG, and also I watch the stuff obviously on NBC. Would you collaborate with other channels or people who run horse racing pages? I run a few, and I'm thinking of collaborating with a few people. I started a nonprofit to honor a very special race mare. Do you? I have thought about. At some point now, I will say at some point, I hope that I can eventually get to the point where I can have a co-host and an editor and not have everything just be me. Right now, I'm just a single person. But at some point, I am hoping that I can get another couple of people on with me. Now, whether that is people who currently run YouTube channels right now and are currently contributors to the horse racing YouTube or whatever. But I have thought about that. I don't know what we're going to do at this point. Right now, I'm still at the point of just figuring out everything. But it has crossed my mind. I'm not promising anything, and I'm not confirming that I'm looking for. I'm not saying that I'm looking for people, but I have thought about it. But at this point, right now, I'm just content to be where I am. Do you think we'll see maximum security run? Yeah, I think we'll see maximum security run again. I just think that it was a case of the horse wasn't 100% sound, and they weren't going to run an unsound horse in the Preakness when they didn't have to. Are you asking what kind of questions do I have for Gary? Because if that's what you're asking, I just have. I'm not going to talk too much about the questions that I have for Gary because I don't want to spoil everything. But we're just going to talk about some of the stuff from his career, basically. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what kind of questions do I have for Gary? We're just going to just talk about his career and life and everything. Now, we're not going to be the one thing that I will say is we're not going to be able to hit everything. So I ultimately hope that the one time that Gary comes on Racing Rundown is not the only time that he comes on Racing Rundown, because I had to leave, and I want to assure you guys this, when the actual interview does come, I did leave a lot of stuff out there, and as I was drafting up questions, I'm like, I'm leaving so much out about him. I do hope that we can have Gary on the show again. Now, obviously, I don't want Racing Rundown to just be Gary Stevens every week. I do have other guests lined up. I don't know whether or not I have mentioned this 100%, but I have a guest that I have for July. And the way that I want guests to work out for the podcast right now, I hope to at some point get Racing Rundown to the point where we can have weekly guests. But at this point right now, I'm just hoping that I can get guests once every month. So the July guest will be one of my friends who is a casual viewer of horse racing. And I wanted to talk, or not necessarily. How did you get in? I'll get into that in a minute. I wanted to bring someone on who's kind of just the person who watches the Triple Crown and get their view on the sport. But so I hope that we can have Gary on again. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't be able to have him on multiple times. But so yeah, we're not going to hit everything with Gary. And like I said, I am going to open it up to questions for you guys, so you guys can ask Gary some of the stuff. Obviously, we're not going to be able to answer every question, and I'm going to apologize in advance for that. I don't even know. I would love to have questions. I don't even know if we're going to be able to, because I don't want to be talking for forever. I don't want to have this go on forever. It's probably going to be something like maybe about a 40, 45 minute, 50 at most. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. And if questions are the last priority, audience questions are the last priority. I hope that we'll be able to get, and I'm really, like I said, I really genuinely am hoping that we can get to audience questions. I'm not going to guarantee that, but that is the plan. Audience question. We'll do everything audience questions, and then at some point maybe we can get him on again. But I'm not promising anything. The only thing I am promising is that Gary will be on the show June 17th. Who are the top 5 jockeys that I have seen? That's a tough question. That's a very tough question. I have not thought about that. Are you talking about firsthand, or are you just talking about in general? And also, I'm going to have to try not to be biased for this, but I would probably put Mike Smith up there. Maybe, Gary is my favorite jockey. I don't know if I would put him up at the top 5, but let's put him up there just for ha-has. Probably Pin Kai, Mike Smith, Gary Stevens, Pin Kai, Cordero, Shoemaker. And, I'm going to cheat and go 6, Jerry Bailey. Those 6. In general. Okay, in general. I'm going to edit it to 6, Pin Kai, Jerry Bailey, Angel Cordero, Lafitte, Pin Kai, Gary Stevens, and Mike Smith. Those are the 6 that I think are the best. How did I get into this sport? The short answer is American Pharoah. The short answer to that question is American Pharoah. The first memory that I have of horse racing is California Chrome winning the Preakness. And then after California Chrome lost the Belmont Stakes, I didn't touch horse racing until the Kentucky Derby of 2015, where I did pick Firing Line. Firing Line was my pick with Gary Stevens. That's kind of where my origins with Gary Stevens being my favorite jockey and everything started, is that 2015 Kentucky Derby. I missed the Preakness, and then really the Belmont Stakes is what kind of got me into it, but I would say American Pharoah. American Pharoah is what got me into horse racing. Curious, how did you know so much about Sunday Silence and Easy Goer? Because Sunday Silence, when I was first getting into horse racing, that was one of my favorite stories. Is Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. It's just that Sunday Silence and Easy Goer is one of my favorite stories of horse racing. That's why I know so much about it, because it's one of my favorites. And like I said, I think it is the best Triple Crown, not Triple Crowns, best single year rivalry in the history of horse racing. Oh, I like how you shorten that Sunday Goer. But yeah, I mean, stuff that you guys can look forward to in the future. We will be at the Belmont Stakes this year. And so if any of you are going to be there, feel free to, I will tweet out where my seats are and everything. And, if you want to meet up and talk racing at Belmont Park on Belmont Stakes Day, feel free to send me a message. I'm more than okay with doing that. Like I said, I will send where my seats are so you guys can come meet up with me and we'll talk racing. Stuff you can look forward to, though, I do have for June 6th a video planned for the 100th anniversary of Man of War's first ever race. That's something that we have to look forward to. And now that I'm just thinking about this, one thing that was crossing my mind, and I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter, but I tweeted the link to an episode of Pawn Stars, and it was the person who has has Las Barrera's Triple Crown trophy. And I said to this is that it's unfortunate that some guy's trying to sell it for $500,000, and how I think it just should be in the Horse Racing Hall of Fame. But there is one other thing that is on YouTube, and it's owner Gene Klein's supposedly owner Gene Klein's winning trophy from the 1986 Breeders' Cup. And I was wondering if anyone can help me figure out whether or not that's authentic, and if you guys, and if it is authentic, if you guys would be in the, I don't know, I don't know how to phrase this. If you guys would be in favor of the possibility of starting a GoFundMe so we can buy that trophy and donate it to the Hall of Fame. Now, the one thing about it that makes me question it is the fact that it's not in the usual shape of Breeders' Cup trophies, but that could just be the fact that it's an owner's trophy and everything. But it's an oval bottom trophy and not a rectangular trophy. So that's the one thing that makes me question whether or not this is authentic. The price of it is $4,500, so it's obviously not $500,000. It's just something that crossed my mind. I don't even know if it would ever even be able to be something that we would be able to do. Yes, I am talking about Lady Secret's trophy. Oh, you're talking about that? You actually have a nonprofit for that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is that an actual validated trophy? Because I saw that and I was thinking, this is a shame that someone's trying to make money off of this and that, it could just get into the hands of some grubby collector. Is this something that, do you mind telling me how much money you have raised for it? Is that something that I understand if you are not willing to disclose how much you have raised for that, but that is definitely something that, are you guys in favor of that? The possibility of starting a GoFundMe page or whatever, what have you, to try to buy that trophy off of eBay? Should that be a legit trophy? And if someone wants to tell me whether or not that is actually a legit trophy, and if that is a legit trophy, uh, whether or not you guys want to start a GoFundMe to try to buy that trophy and donate it to the Hall of Fame, not sell it to the Hall of Fame, donate it. Oh yeah, that is the one thing I kind of, for your questions of top 5 jockey, I just defaulted to Americans. Frankie Dettori and Lester Piggott. If you're asking me about guys outside of this country, Frankie Dettori and Lester Piggott are the 2 best jockeys outside of this country. But yeah, so just a question that I have for you guys. The more winners you pick, the more, well, the thing of it is though is that I don't, oh, the more money we have to donate. I think it's probably authentic. We haven't started because the last time I tried to do it, we didn't get donations. But I think to try would be awesome. With heavy hitters like Gary and Pat Day, we could pull it off. I mean, this could be something that I could ask Gary about, but I don't know. I know Pat Day has a Facebook, so I could do it. But if someone wants to take a picture of that trophy and, either message Pat Day or comment him, whatever, just ask Pat Day about it, if that is a legit trophy and if he would be willing to support, not even just contribute, just publicize the desire to buy that trophy off of whoever that person is so we can donate it to the Hall of Fame. That's just something that came to my mind. I thought when I thought of Les Barrera's Triple Crown trophy, but $500,000 is not anything that I would ever be able to. I think any of us would ever be able to raise. But yeah, Seth makes a good point. The more winners I pick, the more money we have to donate. Listen, if you guys are in favor of that, I will start a GoFundMe page to buy that trophy and uh, see if we could donate it to the Hall of Fame. Because that's the kind of thing that belongs in a Hall of Fame. But definitely, like, I would suggest, I know Pat Day has a Facebook. I could do it too, but I would definitely say for you, either send him a message or comment something about him, or just in some way contact him and say, Pat, is this a legitimate trophy? And if it is, would you be willing to help us publicize an effort to buy the trophy off of whoever this is? and get it to the Hall of Fame. I don't know. That's just a thought. What do I think of Raymond Dominguez as a jockey? Raymond Dominguez was a very good jockey, two-time Eclipse Award winner, and it's unfortunate that he got injured and ultimately did not get to win some big races. Pat Day is a businessman. He doesn't answer emails. I tried, but it belongs in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. What business does Pat Day have? Is it just the fact, because I have seen his Facebook account before. You could try to get a hold of, honestly, you could comment. The other thing you could do is, because sending him a direct message, sending anyone a direct message on Facebook, if you're not friends with them, does not work, because they have no inclination to check it. But if you want to comment on uh, Pat Day's, oh, jockeys for jeans, oh, that's his business. But yeah, if you want to comment on his page, I would say that may be the best way to get him to see that. What do I think of Calvin Burrell when he was riding? I didn't see Calvin Burrell riding firsthand, but I mean, looking back on Calvin Burrell, he went on the greatest 4-year stretch in the history of the Kentucky Derby. Won it 3 times and was third in 2008. Calvin Burrell, I think, deserved the Hall of Fame, but I don't think Calvin Burrell is an all-time great rider. I think Calvin Burrell just got kind of lucky that he got some good horses in the Kentucky Derby. But going back to that trophy for a minute, I mean, you could probably comment on something of Pat Day's and ask him if, because he is an open Facebook account, so you could comment and say, Pat, this is the situation. There's Ladies Secrets Breeders' Cup Owners Trophy on eBay, and we're looking into the possibility of trying to find that and get it into the Hall of Fame. But I definitely agree with you. It does belong in the Hall of Fame. But it's definitely something that, in my current condition, $4,500 is not that much, but I have nowhere near that kind of money. Now, if someone would have hit if any of you guys hit my trifecta, then if any of you guys hit the trifecta in the Kentucky Derby, then we could have gotten that. But if you're interested in me starting a GoFundMe, then we could possibly try to see if we can get that. Lady Secret, yeah, Lady Secret was a pretty good horse, but I will say the one thing about Lady Secret is they kept trying to try her against male horses, and she did win the Whitney, but it just did not work. And they did the right thing by putting her against females for the rest of her career. And ultimately she was a pretty good horse. You could make a pretty good argument between her and Risen Star of which horse was the better Secretary at Offspring. Lady Secret was more successful, but I don't know. That'd be a good debate that you could have. The one thing about I'm looking at this trophy right now. The one thing about it is that the one thing that I question about it is that this isn't in the usual form of a Breeders' Cup trophy. Oh, I have looked at her race. I looked at her racing stats when I made the Lady Secret. Wrote the piece about Lady Secret for the uh Breeders' Cup, the Breeders' Cup Moment series on the blog page, and you probably may want to take a look at that. So I'll tweet or not tweet. I'll put the link in the chat for you if you want to take a read of that after this live show. I'm gonna take my headset off for a minute. All right, let me see. Not It's not the easiest thing to navigate around this website, but here we go. Posts. The title of it was, I titled it Daughter of Greatness, Lady's Secret. Let's go back to YouTube. Comment this in here for you people. Let's go to the desktop. If this would ever load, here we go. All right, there's the link to it if you want to take a look at that. She won 8 Grade 1 races in a season. Only horse to do that was Cigar. They're tied. Yeah, no, Lady Secret was a good horse. I just think the one knock on her times. And I'm gonna pull up the Equibase page for her. I don't know why my internet is not working. Message me on Facebook. I don't have it. I don't have an actual Facebook account yet. It has been something that I've thought about making, but if you want to get in contact with me better, I would message me on Twitter. That's where I am the most active. Racing Rundown does not have a Facebook page. It's something that I have thought about making, and at some point I may end up making it. But message me on Twitter at Rundown Racing if you want to talk. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, she won the La Canada. She won the Santa Margarita. She won the Schluve. She won the Whitney. She won the Masquette. She won the Ruffian. She won the Beldame, and she won the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Yeah, I mean, she was a pretty good horse. It's just that, I look at the Metropolitan, the Woodward, and those 2 races didn't work. Your Twitter account is California Chrome Love. All right, let me pull you up. I gotta switch back to Racing Rundown, or Rundown Racing, whatever the hell it is. Cali Chrome. I see you. I have to follow you though. Yeah, I found it. What you're gonna have to do though is you're gonna have to follow me back. But I think really, not really. I'm just gonna ask you guys one more time if you have any more questions about anything. But I think at this point, I think I'm gonna cut it in a few minutes. You and I can talk on Twitter about this. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it 10 minutes early. I usually try to like to have these about hour and a half, but not really much to talk to. Not really much coming in. That's really what I have to say. If you are for the possibility of raising a GoFundMe to buy that trophy, please feel free and send me a message, comment, whatever. If you're in favor of that, I will see you guys on Tuesday. Unless any last minute comments come in, which I don't think they are. All right, see you guys then.